did not end well for us. Now, I don't want to start it because I'm pretty sure there is little to no oil in the motor. Welcome back, everyone, and in today's video we are going to show you how we finally took this 5,000-pound full weight Chevy Trailblazer with an inline 6-cylinder Vortec 4200 and got it into the 10s. Now, for those that have been following along for a while, we took this bone stock Trailblazer about a year and a half ago, and we slapped an R-Tech turbo manifold on it, an S372 turbo from Calvin Nelson, and some snake eater injectors, a faster Proms tune, stock 4L60, and we made about 440 horsepower with meth injection E85 with no intercooler. Fast forward a little bit, we put an air-to-water intercooler on it, picked up some power, stayed with the 4L60. Fast forward even more recently, 6L80 swap, Circle D 3600 salt converter, another faster Proms tune, and knocking on the doors of 10s at the end of sick week. Well, that was not good enough. We wanted to go into the 10s. So we set out on a mission. Let's get this thing into the 10s full weight. Now, tons of people were commenting, oh, you're so close, just rip out the seats, take this out, take that out. Well, listen, in my opinion, if you have to gut a car to run a time, then the car is really not capable of running that time as it sits. I am not a fan of having to gut the car to reach a specific goal. If it's a race car, sure, but this isn't a race car. This is one AC fitting away from being a daily driver. So I decided, no, I'm gonna retain the full weight aspect of it, and I'm going to run 10s. Like, come hell or high water, this thing is going to run a 10-second pass full weight, and we did it. So I'm pretty pumped. So as you see it right now, this thing runs 10s, and it just didn't make it into the 10s barely. Like, it got into the 10s. So let's talk about where we started. This past week on Wednesday, we went out to test and tune, and instead of me narrating it, let me just show you the footage that we took. Back out here at Orlando Speed World, we are testing. It's been about a month and a half, 2 months since we've taken this thing to the track, and we're on a mission. We have not run that 10-second pass. So we just got done running our first pass, and it was in rear-wheel drive, but we went 11:39 at 126. I actually took out the most recent tune I had and went back to the same tune that we went 11:0 in. And that's because the last tune was a little bit higher rev limit and a little bit higher shift points. Well, we actually went to the track for testing like 2 days after we got back from sick week. Maybe it was like 4 days. Sick week ended on a Saturday, and then the following test and tune Wednesday, the following test and tune on Wednesday, we took it out, and I put that new tune in it, which I didn't get to run at sick week. Well, the transmission was not happy. So we didn't make a clean pass. It seemed to be acting really weird, and we weren't sure why. Well, on the way to the track today, I was like, let me just throw this thing in 4-wheel drive. Well, it started making all kinds of noises. So I'm pretty sure one of two things is true. One, the transfer case is toast, or it's starting to become toast. Or two, one of the U-joints in the front drive shaft is starting to go bad already. Now, Precision Shaft did tell me this front drive shaft is going to be limited by the U-joints that are in it. And I can feel like a little bit of play. So I don't know if that's it, or if it's I can tell you I put it in 4-wheel drive while I was driving, so, which isn't uncommon. You can put it in 4-wheel drive as you're moving. I think one of these things says that, but you know, you have to be going below 60 miles an hour, this, that, and the other. Well, I did that, and maybe that's what caused it to act up. I don't know, but it sounded god awful. When I put it back in 2-wheel drive, sounded fine. So we're out here. We're gonna run it in 2-wheel drive, and I'll let you guys in on a secret. The 4-wheel drive stuff is cool, but after seeing the list that exist for all the Trailblazer SSs that are out there that are fast, there is a common theme. If you look at the fastest all-wheel drive guys versus the fastest rear-wheel drive guys, there is a huge difference. The rear-wheel drive guys' times eclipses the all-wheel drive guys' times. And I don't think that's a coincidence. It's just the benefit of all-wheel drive does not translate to the track, and the additional weight and the trouble that you have to go through, it's not worth it. I do think it's cool. On the street, it's awesome. But I don't street race. So my new plan for this, we're eventually going to go to rear-wheel drive only, lighten the thing up by a significant amount of weight, go to a skinny front runner, and I think it'll do fine. I mean, we launched it. This 1.860 is not great, but that was less than 1 pound of boost leaving. So we're gonna go back out there soon. I'm waiting for this guy to come back. We're kind of like taking turns watching each other's stuff. And I'm gonna lean on it a little bit more on the line, really stand on the brake, in hopes that I can get it to leave on like 2 pounds of boost. I mean, if we can get this 1.8 down to like a 1.6 or maybe even a 1.5, which we've done before, but again, that 1.5 was an all-wheel drive, so I don't know if that's possible, at least in the current configuration. I mean, we're less than 4/10 from a 10, so you know, I think we can do it. If maybe we can turn up the boost a little bit more, get it to, we've mile an hour at over 100 in the 8th before, so maybe we can get it on the back end a little bit, but really the culprit is the 60 foot. So we're gonna focus on this and see what we can do in rear wheel drive and with the fat front tires that really are not doing us anything right now. You guys want to see some bull crap? Look at this. 11,003. Come on. Well, that is a personal best, and this is something good. So 7.0 to the 8th, almost 100 miles an hour. I did turn the boost controller up 2 more clicks, and I want to remind everyone that was in rear wheel drive. Rear wheel drive. My 4-wheel drive is currently not operational. I mean, it is, but it sounds like, I don't know if the front diff has exploded. So just a reminder, 4-wheel drive's not working. We're only in rear wheel drive. So what I realized is my front wheels were still down at like 22 PSI, which is what I keep the rear wheels at. The front wheels don't need to be lower. I need less rolling resistance on them. So I actually just pumped them up to 35 pounds, which is what I normally drive on them. So hopefully that little bit less rolling resistance will be, I mean, come on, 3,000ths of a second. I mean, little things can, I mean, every little thing like this could be the difference between an 11,003 and a 1099. So we're gonna air these front tires up, get some more rollout, some less rolling resistance on the front wheels, and hopefully just do exactly what we did again. I saved the log. I didn't see how much boost I left on that pass, but I'll cover that later in the video. And man, I'm super excited. I mean, 3,000ths away. I think my previous best was like 11,021, so it was 21,000. So, I mean, we are right there. Let's freaking go.
Oh, no, Jonathan.
All right, well, we're out here in the dark at the big end of the track's down there. And, well, we're waiting on Scott. Scott's coming to pick us up with a trailer because, well, you saw the pictures. It did not end well for us. Now, I don't want to start it because I'm pretty sure there is little to no oil in the motor, but it doesn't register on the dipstick. So we're gonna put it on the trailer, bring it to my house, take it off the trailer, and I'll get to it when I get to it. But for those that have been watching the channel for a long time, right, we have the oil feed line down there, that wrapped silver line that goes underneath the motor mount, and then it has that check valve, and that's what feeds the number 5 main galley. And that other line that goes into it, the one that's perpendicular, that goes around here and goes to my accumulator. You can see all this oil down here. Now there's a little bit of oil pressure still in there, I think, right? No, zero. Well, the line that feeds it, so those two lines there are my intercooler lines. The other line is, let me see if I can get back here. That line there, blue. Now you can see Scott and I had made a heat shield for this because what is that right there? Well, that's the wastegate that dumps hot air right onto that line. We knew this could potentially have been a problem, so we tried, you know, on sick week we made a heat shield and riveted it together. Well, it got hot and it warped. The heat got to the line, and well, halfway down the track that line blew, sent oil all the way down the side. Oil got under that tire, sketchily oil got under this tire, and oil is all over the back of this thing. So it was a very sketchy situation. I find myself very blessed and very fortunate that that did not end a lot worse than how it did. You know, obviously once we got down to the big end of the track, this is where we were parked, all the oil just came out of that line. So when I turned it off, it still sounded fine, but there's a good chance, my computer died now, so I can look at the log, but there's a good chance it saw probably little to no oil pressure for at least 5 or 10 seconds. So we'll get it back home, we'll look at the log, and I probably won't replace that line at first. I'm probably just going to cap it, fill this with oil, and start it to make sure it's good. Once I know it's good, then I'll work on replacing that line, and I'm obviously going to do something different. And now it's time to actually probably turn the wastegate and tie the wastegate back into the exhaust so that never happens again. But yeah, very, very sketchy, but we ran a personal best 8th. Honestly, that probably would have been the 10-second pass I was looking for. That was our PB 8th. I think PB 8th mile an hour. Definitely not a PB 60, but that's the PB 60 on rear wheel drive. And that was 11.59. Pretty much getting completely out of it right around the 8th. So yeah, we'll continue this again in the future. So as you can see, we were knocking on the doors of 10's, and unfortunately our night ended rather abruptly. Now that night could have ended way worse. You know, oil was under the front tire, oil was under the rear tire, and when it let go, I felt it. As I let out, I didn't slam on the brakes because I wasn't sure if I thought I'd blown a head gasket, to be honest, but I didn't want to get on the brakes because I didn't know what fluid may or may not have been under my front wheels. So I coasted all the way down to the big end of the shutdown. Come to find out, obviously, it was oil, and it didn't take long to figure out where that oil came from. This right here, I don't know if you can see it, that little slit, that is the failure that ended our night on the first outing this week where we tried to get into the 10's. That little slit, that was the cause of all that smoke. Now, the reason for that is because my wastegate dumps right here and it points down. Well, this was routed along the frame rail going up, and the wastegate's right over it. So when this blew, this oil mist was coming up right over the wastegate, all that heat, and it was just emulsifying it and turning it into a mist, which, you know, made a huge cloud on the track. And well, unfortunately, 20 years of racing, I've never oiled down the track, and I guess I was just making up for lost time because 8 quarts of oil worth was just in the form of a cloud. Now, fortunately, the lanes were already closed, so they wound up just closing the left side lane, and they dealt with it after, but I do feel bad. My apologies to Orlando Speed World and anybody that was there that I affected by doing that. I know that they sent vehicles down within like 10 minutes after that, but I'm definitely one to be like, oh man, another Honda just oiled down the track, and I was that guy, so I am sorry. Well, once we removed the accumulator and the oil line, all we did was cap off where the accumulator feeds into the block, and then we went back out last night because the weather was fantastic. I mean, it was phenomenal. You'll see in the time slips from Orlando Speed World app, you can see what the DA was when we ran the passes. And I had to capitalize on this because I know Calvin is coming with his Trailblazer and I wanted to get this time ran first. You know, I wanted to be the first 6-cylinder Trailblazer into the 10s because I know Calvin is probably going to eclipse me with his built motor monster, but that's okay. Like, well-deserved, well-earned. I don't want to sit on the throne forever, and I knew that I wasn't going to be there for a long time. I just wanted to feel what the throne felt like, you know? I just wanted to sit in that seat, that position, just for a little bit. So we went back out Friday, and well, here's the footage. I'm happy to report that that is a 10-second Trailblazer, full weight, baby. 1086 at 122. We freaking did it. I am so pumped. And it was in rear wheel drive. Those freaking fat front tires are up there for no reason right now other than just a roll because my 4-wheel drive is not operational. Reminder. So look at this. 15860. That is 200ths away from my personal best, which is a 156, which happened on Gainesville at Sick Week. And that was 4-wheel drive. So I mean, this is proof that you don't really need 4-wheel drive to do this and be cool. I'm pretty sure that's my first ever 698th. There's 100 miles an hour. Now, you guys might be wondering why the mile an hour is down. If you look at the in-car video, I actually lifted off the throttle slightly. Probably, I'll confirm with the log, but I think I went to like 60 or 70% throttle around the 1,000-foot mark because the shift, I think the 3/4 shift felt a little weird. And to be honest, I was in my head a little bit because of what had happened the last time out. Just a million scenarios in my head of all worst case scenarios. So now that we made that pass, normally I pack it up, I'm done. But I'm gonna try and make one more and run it all out and see if we can't back this up. So freaking hyped. So there you have it. We have a 10-second, 5,000-pound Trailblazer LT. Now, I can't tell you how many people started coming up to it in the pits after we ran our first pass, which was a 1086, our fastest pass to date. And people are just like, does this thing got a 2J? Like, what is this? And they're just like, that's insane. Like, you know, what rods and pistons does it have? And it's great seeing people's reaction where you're like, it has the factory rods, it has the factory pistons, it's a stock motor. Like, oh my gosh, no way. So, I mean, this thing never ceases to amaze me. It's incredible that Chevy built something that's capable of doing what this thing is doing. Now, a lot of people ask me, well, how much money do you have in the builder? Or, you know, what are all the parts? You know, I'm gonna make an overview video of it now that we've ran this goal and kind of give you every little detail of what I can into it. As for money, to be honest, I try to not track it. You know, I don't want to know, don't want my wife to know, really, although she has an idea. If I had to guess, with the price of the car included, I'm probably between $15,000 and $20,000 into the complete build. Now, sure, is that a lot of money? Absolutely. But it's also been the course of almost 2 years now. It includes the price of the vehicle. And there's not many vehicles that you can say can seat 5 people comfortably and go run a 10-second pass. Like, I think that's impressive. I think it's just wild. What a time to be alive, right? And it's on the factory computer. You know, it's all, most of the stuff's factory parts. The transmission stock minus the converter, motor stock. You know, it's just, at the end of the day, essentially it's bolt-ons and a tune. I mean, very, very high level, right? But I really appreciate all the support throughout this process. We reached this goal. Right now we're sitting at the peak of the mountain, and I know some people may be asking, well, hey, what's next? Trust me, we're not done. We have a lot of plans, and I want to remind everyone, because I failed to remind everyone during the video with Eric Hines, Atlas Industries is coming up. That's at Killcare Raceway in Ohio. It's this fall. I mean, if you guys really want to support the Atlas community and show people like, hey, people really care about this platform, you need to come out. I know Calvin, his family, Nivlac 57, they will be there. We will be there. And I think this is a good time now just to tell Calvin, like, hey, we went 10s. I know you're probably capable of 10s too, but I think we need to give the people a little competition at the drag race. I'm gonna yank all this 4-wheel drive stuff out now that I know it's not needed. And let's go ahead and let's line them up. Let's see which Trailblazer is faster. Now, I think I know the answer to this, but I think we need to settle it at the track and see which one comes out on top. What do you say? Let's put these things to work. Let's battle it out. And anyone that wants to support, if you want to see it live, come to Atlas Nationals at Killcare Raceway in Ohio and come support the Atlas Industries. That's going to be all for this video. Thanks again for everyone for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.